Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name is David Austin.
I'm Londa Sherwood Austin. Welcome back.
I'm glad to be here with you today, Londa. It's a new month.
I'm thrilled.
It's December.
We took a week off.
We
and
did.
I loved it.
For Thanksgiving. I'm right now giving thanks for that.
Yes.
It was a lovely, lovely time. And we'll talk about that.
We're going to dive into a lot of different things today.
And much, much more. That's exactly
Stay tuned.
right.
You don't want to go anywhere because you're going to pick up a lot of little nuggets today.
Okay. Give me one. Shoot me one nugget. No nuggets now?
No, you have to stay
That's
tuned.
an early nugget.
Stay tuned.
Okay, I like it. The Session with Londa and David is a business program that focuses on the three things we are most interested in. Londa, what are those?
Well, we say that it's restaurants, retail sales, and real estate, but we cover a lot of different things here. We talk about mindset a lot. We talk about mental health. We talk about the sales process. But it's kind of those things.
Yeah, those things are all interconnected and woven throughout the program.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about this show, this particular show, and here's why. They say what you do at the beginning of the month is what you do all month long, and it's the day we're recording this is Sunday, December 1st.
Yes.
And we didn't just roll through the entire Thanksgiving weekend without working. We took appointments with clients. I took a loan application. I took another call last night, and I'm working on something else for another borrower.
Yeah, you were working with somebody at little after 9 last night.
Yeah, we are moving and shaking as we kick off the month of December. And as one realtor who we ran into yesterday, Ann Kuykendall from Encore Realty.
What a sweetheart.
She was saying, it was very fun. She was saying that the market is really moving and shaking right now. And for her, it's a breath of fresh air because it's been a little bit slower earlier in the year, and it seems, this was just anecdotal conversation, it seems like there's new enthusiasm in the market. And I bring that up because the Black Friday retail sales numbers are in.
Okay.
Over $10 billion of activity, up I think 13% over last year. So consumer sentiment, I said it on this show 3 weeks ago, is going to go up.
Yep.
Because people are excited about change. And whenever you have political change, people are looking at new opportunities. Now, I'm not saying people are happy with the change. I'm not saying people think their candidate won. What I'm saying is change is encouraging, and we're already seeing it in our personal business and in the business across the nation.
And I would say if you are somebody or know somebody who doesn't want to be surprised about what's coming, economically speaking, you need to listen to this podcast, watch this podcast, and share it with the people that you love, because we do always talk about here's what's coming, and I'll be damned if 3 weeks later or 6 weeks later or 2 weeks later the news is reporting on it. There it is.
Well, it's interesting. We have
side note,
we have kind of a unique perspective opening a Diet Coke if you're watching on the old YouTube.
There's nothing better.
You like the Diet Coke? I like mine with Captain Morgan's rum. That's the way to drink Diet Coke, with rum in it.
There's nothing better.
Okay, I can think of a few things that are better, but we're not going to talk about that here on the program. Okay, so what I was going to say before we started talking about how much better your Diet Coke is, this is an ad for Diet Coke.
I'm just saying sometimes this saves a life.
Okay. Let's hear more of that. Let's flesh it out.
Anybody who knows and loves Diet Coke the way that I do, they don't need an explanation.
Okay.
We're saving lives. Yours, somebody else, who knows?
I feel that way about coffee. Made at home. Home coffee. It's on the house. That's how I feel about home coffee with our espresso machine. By the way, Breville is right now 20% off on our espresso machine, and you can get it today from Amazon for $5.29. I don't know why I know that, but I saw it on my phone.
Okay. So I wanted to back up just a little bit and talk about Thanksgiving. This is all going to tie in together. We're talking about the $10 billion, did you say?
Yes. Over 10 billion.
I'm going to tell you something right now. If you work in any kind of sales, I don't care who you are, and you're crying poor mouth right now, you're talking about how people can't afford my product or my service, you are so wrong.
Yes.
$10 billion spent on Black Friday.
Yep.
13% up. People have money. I said to you a week or so ago, I said I drove past the mall today and I went to Costco today. There's plenty of money circulating in the economy.
Oh, sure.
Go get yours. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It is about mindset. Now, the other side of this coin that I'm going to talk about is you don't need all the stuff you think you need.
Right.
So I understand that I just said kind of two different things, but it is two sides of the same coin.
Sure.
And that takes me back to Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving for me in the past has always been very elaborate. Okay. When my kids were growing up, it was an elaborate holiday. There were, everything, all the traditional stuff you can think of. Yes. And then some.
Right.
Right. And I love to love people through food. Mm-hmm. So doing that, and I love to have a beautiful table and a beautiful tablescape and my china and the whole thing. I love it. But sometimes the simplicity of the relationships, just focusing on the relationships, and so scaling back on all that stuff, more important. And that's what we did this year. We started talking to our kids in like mid-October about, what are your plans for Thanksgiving? And I got to tell you, I heard enough different comments that made me think, you know what I'm not going to do anymore? Try to cater to their schedule,
right?
Which is what I usually do.
Right.
They're grown and have families of their own. I thought, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do instead this year is I'm going to do something that sounds really fun to us.
Well, yes. And we came up with the idea for what we did on Thanksgiving when we were on our anniversary trip in Hawaii. We went to a place and we did a restaurant review that nobody asked for about it. Then we went to a restaurant in the basement of a mall called
Waffle and Berry.
Waffle and Berry. And you know what they sell there? Waffles and berries.
Big surprise.
With whipped cream and ice cream.
And ice cream.
And let me tell you something. Food porn. Straight food porn.
So good.
Believable.
And we said we
should
do this at our next brunch.
That's right.
Then this kind of went on, and I felt like some of the kids were being a little hateful with me about Thanksgiving, their plans and whatever. And
well, it's tough to navigate, right? We've got a blended family. Everybody's got a place to go.
If you're watching YouTube, you're welcome for that severe eye roll you just watched.
Most of the kids are in significant relationships, so they have multiple stops to go to.
Sure.
And so we decided we'd do what we enjoy.
We said, them kids.
No,
we're going to do what we want to do.
What we said is we're going to do a brunch that's waffles and berries themed.
Yeah.
So that it'll be fun for us. Because let's face it, I hate stuffing.
You do.
Tolerate turkey, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
I've never looked at a turkey and thought, oh my God, what?
Get in my belly.
Yeah, never. So with that said, I don't look forward to the Thanksgiving foods, but we love brunch.
Yeah.
And so we did our waffles and berries, and we did biscuits and sausage gravy. Mm-hmm. And so we had savory for the savories and sweet for everybody else.
Yep.
And it was spectacular.
Then a fruit tray, and then somebody brought deviled eggs, somebody brought sourdough bread, and
somebody
with
brought
all these
punch
fancy
with liquors
and
that you could mix in with the punch.
Yeah, so it turned out great. We just did it. I'm going to tell you right now, if you have grown kids, listen carefully to this, because it was amazing. We did it open house style. Come anytime you want between 9 a.m. and noon.
And get out at noon, because we're not looking to spend the day with you.
Oh, yeah. Get out.
In and out. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
Take your parting gift and ornament on the way out the door.
Yeah. So I give them, I try to at Thanksgiving, every year I do an ornament for the kids and the grandkids and the everybody. And it's a tradition I carry on from my mom, right?
Right.
So I try to give them their ornaments at Thanksgiving, so that was their parting gift this year. Anyway, so we did this brunch, and I made invitations on paperless post,
right,
and sent them out. And it was very cute. It said something like, "Why have turkey and stuffing when you can have biscuits and gravy?"
Right.
So we did that, and it was wonderful. All the kids came. Everybody was there by 10.
That's true.
Caitlin got there at 11, I think.
Yeah, because she drove in from Portland.
So there was one.
For brunch.
Right, yeah. And then they all stayed till just about noon.
Yeah, some stayed a little over till like 12:30, which was fun because Caitlin then got to interact with the people that weren't sticking around longer, which was nice. She was here for the night.
Yeah.
So she was staying. So that worked out great.
Yeah, so it was great. And then the rest of the day, whatever you want to do. What do you want to do? Whatever you want to do.
You got to go here, go there. You got to go here, go there.
So they came, they did all and then they all went home and put their little kids down for naps, and then got up and went to their other respective places that they had to go.
James and I went and played a quick round of disc golf. Did. And that was great because you and Caitlin wanted a nap. So I went out and played disc golf.
But what I'm getting at is it was a very simplified, stripped down version of Thanksgiving for me to serve. And that worked out really well for me because it was much less stress for me. And it was much less cost for me.
I also want to thank our creative director, Ada. Thank you, Ada, for coming early and helping with the waffles. I mean, that was great.
She was awesome.
She was awesome. Let me tell you, she took a load off, so to speak.
It was the one, she came in just at the moment that I was having my one and only little crisis.
Right.
Like little mental breakdown.
That's right.
A minty bee, if you will. And so...
A minty bee.
Yeah.
Is that a thing people say? Or did you just make that up?
No, the kids say it.
Oh, I didn't know.
The kids.
Okay.
So I'm trying to stay young. No,
okay.
I'm not. So anyway, that was fantastic. And what I want you to take away from this is whatever you think it has to be, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Well, I can tell you this. We talked about how...
Well, take a minute and let that sink in.
Absolutely. We talked about how relationships were the most important part of our Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what the most important part of my Thanksgiving was specifically.
Okay.
Hanging out with our grandson, Rain, and he and I got into a really good groove where he could look at me from across the room and I could know, pineapple, he wants a piece of pineapple. And I'd say, hey, Rain, you want a piece of pineapple? And he'd go, just like that. Uh-huh. And I'd give him the pineapple and he'd be so happy. That kid was in heaven the whole time he was there because he knew if his little throat's parched, just look at Grandpa and he's got your pineapple.
Yeah.
And I was on my feet getting that kid pineapple the whole time and I loved it.
Yeah. And most of the time he was being held by his Uncle James, who we were teasing was like his surrogate dad because Uncle James looks a lot like his dad.
Right.
Right. So they're built very similarly and, baseball cap. And so his daddy was busy holding nieces and nephews.
Right.
And so he would toddle over to dad, some other babies over here, and then toddle over to Uncle James.
Right.
And so it was adorable watching the kids all interact and be together and lovely. I also, if you have adult kids, I also highly recommend coloring sheets.
Yeah, that was the only thing that added stress to my day because I'm not a good colorist.
You don't need to do it.
I know. You wanted me to, though, and you were disappointed that I
wasn't.
didn't.
I don't care.
You said you would be if I didn't, and I didn't, so I thought you might be.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't care. There a couple reasons why it was great. I had 4 different Thanksgiving-themed coloring sheets, like for children that I downloaded from Crayola.com.
For children.
Yes. And I had gel pens, colored pencils, and crayons. And you could choose a coloring sheet and color, and then I was putting them up on the wall. Mm-hmm. So there were a few up already Well, our grandsons, Noah and Easton, had sent us pictures that week. And so we put those up, and then I colored one and put it up. And then that kind of started the flow. And by the time it was all said and done, I think there were 11 more people colored of the 20 that were there. And it was great, though, because for the people who get a little nervous in those situations, it's a great low stem kind of an activity that can kind of take some stress and anxiety off of them. And then for the competitive people, they're trying to do the best one, right? And so it provides something for some personality traits and people to have something to do.
That makes sense to me why I don't like it, because I know I'm not going to be the best one, and I want to be the best one, so I'm not going to play the game.
Wow.
Which is why I don't like family game night, because I want to win and will say and do things to hurt your feelings to win. And I don't want to be that guy. That's why I don't like playing games. Isn't that weird? Because I get crazy competitive sometimes.
Well, so do the kids.
Yeah. The only time that's not true is when I'm doing a physical activity, because I reconcile not wanting to hurt someone as a more powerful driver than wanting to win. Does that make sense?
Yes. So the coloring sheets also ended up being really funny, because Josiah, he colored his sheet, and then he put his name on it, and then he put age 28. And then David, our youngest, he colored his sheet, and he wrote his name and said 15th grade. And so then people started doing funny things on them. And so that was great. It was I think, happiest, least stressed holiday I can remember in a really long time.
Oh, that's good.
That worked out really well for me.
Yeah.
And so I plan on doing something similar for Christmas. If we do any kind of gathering at all, I think maybe instead of having everybody over, we'll just pop in to each family's house, on a different days to drop their presents and have a little something.
Sure.
Again, just taking the stress off.
Yeah.
Because, and the other thing I want to tell people, again, there's plenty of money in the economy. People are spending a lot of money, but you don't have to be one of them that does. Our Christmas this year is pretty scaled back, pretty simplified. I think that's the whole... I have always worked to simplify the process of things for my clients.
Right.
Always. It's what I'm known for. I streamline, I simplify, I take the stress out of it. I'm starting to do that in my own life.
And that's really cool. And that's a sign of some kind of different thought for you.
Well, there's some synergy there between my work and life.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at if it causes me stress, I'm not doing it.
Right.
There's normal stress, right? But I'm just not doing it. I'm looking to simplify. I tell you all the time, I protect my peace above all else, but I'm finding a really good rhythm and being able to do that with my kids.
Right.
Which I've never really been able to do, but I've always been a very nervous mom. Very nervous, fearful, that they weren't going to love me or approve of me, or, you know what I mean? And
no.
What's it like to not have trauma?
Yeah. No, I don't. I've never had a thought like that. I presume that everybody's interested in everybody else, and that everybody has the same level of interest in you that you have in them. I believe that that's a thing that can be true.
And for the most part, when I'm operating at my highest and best self, I feel that way.
Okay.
But man, I don't know what you want to call it, life, trauma, the demons, whatever you want to call it, gets me in this place often of, I don't think anybody likes me. I'm always doing the wrong thing, saying the wrong thing. I'm the person who plays the thing over and over in my head. I should have done this different. I should have said this differently. I hope that didn't upset them. I'm always worried somebody's mad at me.
I got you.
Right. And you would be too if you'd grown up with Shirley Ann.
How much different would your outcomes be if your beliefs were fully flipped the other way?
Well, this is why...
If you believe that everybody likes you and everybody's happy with you and everybody wants to hang out with you, if you believed that...
Right.
And you're wrong, what are the consequences?
Right. I get what you're saying, and this is why I do so much mindset work every single day. Mm-hmm. I have to, and we've talked about this on the show before. I have to, because my brain was wired very young age for negative. Okay? So my whole life is like undoing that and making something different. So yeah, I'm constantly trying to rewire.
So let me ask you this. This is interesting. Are you in sales because you like the instant gratification of the win, and then that is kind of self-validation?
Sure.
Okay, that's interesting.
I'm self-aware enough to say that.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
I love it. That's why I always say I'm a hunter. I
Right.
love the hunt, the pursuit.
Yeah.
The pursuit of the client, the pursuit of the win for the client. You know what I mean? That's why I love negotiations.
Right.
Being a realtor and being at home buying and selling. I was thinking about this today. If you want to win, you should hire me to be your realtor. Because nobody is more motivated or terrified of losing.
That's right. I believe that. Yes.
So I will win. I will win. I will win. Now, the win may be we all win.
Right.
And I love that. And the win may be you're left in the corner licking your wounds. Oh, well, should have been better.
Right.
But, if you want to sell your home and you want to win, you don't want to give up anything, you want the top dollar and you don't want to have to give in to, you should hire me. And if you want to buy a home and you want to win and you want everything that you want, you should hire me. I was just thinking about that this morning. I was like, you know what? That's so true. And that's not bragging. It's actually being really vulnerable with you. It is coming from that place of, you won't like me if I don't win.
Interesting.
Or might not, right? You might not like me. You might not approve of me if I don't win for you.
Right. I tell people
that's a healthy,
in business.
I mean, that's not healthy, but it's a motivator.
Yeah. I tell people in business that you're kind of a pit bull negotiator and nobody beats you up. They just can't.
Right.
Once you lock your jaw into something.
I'm not ugly about it.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, you have a tenacity or tenaciousness that does not allow you to take no for an answer. You will keep going, no matter how they're trying to pry your jaw open. You're going to stay locked on it. That's interesting, and part of how I describe you, and it's interesting to know where it comes from.
Well, it's like I think about often about Michael Phelps when he was competing in his very first Olympics, and he put up in his little private locker, he put up all the negative articles that had been written about him as motivation.
Yeah.
And that's just, some people, the negative is much more motivating than the positive. And I like both, right? And I want to be careful to say, I'm not trying to beat people up. You know what I mean? I am a tough negotiator, but I'm not trying to, let me say it this way.
I mean it metaphorically.
Let me say it this way.
I don't mean it.
Let me say it this way.
Any other way.
I will find every advantage possible for my client.
Yes.
But I don't necessarily take advantage of the other situation unless it is I represent a buyer against a for sale by owner.
Why is that, do you think?
And then you bet I'm going to take advantage of them. They don't know what they're doing, and I love it. I don't know. It's like blood in the water, David. I can't explain it.
Somebody referred to you as a shark the other day.
Oh, they sure did. And they meant it as a put down.
Right. I'm not a shark like you. Maybe you should be.
Maybe you should try harder. No.
Yeah. For me, I don't have any of that kind of motivation. The reason I want to do what I want to do is because I love problem solving.
Yeah.
And I love being proved right. I love that.
Interesting.
That's fun for me. It's like being in the debate team. Love winning a debate because then I'm proved right. There's empirical proof that I am correct. And I love that.
Do you know, it's the same thing. Like, it's the same thing we just talked about for me.
Maybe.
You can't be wrong.
Except it comes from a different place. It comes from a place where I'm certain that my actions can positively influence the outcome, not fear that someone's not going to like me. I'm certain people want to like me and be with me and hang out with me. I'm certain. That's not a question. Mm-hmm. I think that way. And the reason I think that way is because worrying about whether or not people like me is not good for my health. It's not.
So I have a question for you. This
Yes.
is interesting because I've taught the DISC personality profile thing for, 20 years now. So there's always greatest motivation for that personality type and greatest fear for that personality type. Your primary personality type, if we're using the DISC, is an I, which is the party person.
Okay.
Your secondary is a D, which is the power person. Okay. Which is why you don't play games, because you get too competitive and you'll kill somebody. So
I don't want to say things that I can't unsay.
Right. So what's interesting though is an I personality, and these are generalities, of course. The greatest fear is rejection. So would you say you do identify with that or do not?
I do not.
Okay. And these are, again, generalities.
Because I have very little history of feeling rejected.
Wow.
That's a feeling I'm not aware of. Does that make sense?
I'm dumbfounded. I can't imagine how stoppable I would be in this world if I could say that.
Yeah. Which is why I'm saying if you only looked at relationships as, of course, people want to know you, and of course, people want to hang out with you, how much more effective would you be?
I mean, I used to be that way, right, as a kid, but then, like, the world kind of teaches you something different, right? You go through life and people don't like you, and people don't want to spend time with you, and people don't hang out with you, and you lose friends, and you get rejected, and you get, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I kind of was like, okay. But at the core of that was, being raised, believing, knowing always there's just something inherently wrong with me. But I don't know what.
And here's another thing, now that we're being vulnerable. I don't want to be perceived as the bad guy.
Right.
I don't like that. That is a picture of me that I do not identify with.
You all are connecting some of these dots, right? Okay.
So if I'm in a relationship that I'm not happy in, I will find a way to get broken up with. So I'm not the bad guy. Isn't that interesting?
Interesting. And another thing that's interesting, and we're kind of making this show all about us, but I'm hoping people, first of all, it's our show, but I'm hoping people can identify with pieces of this. I think they can, right?
Yeah.
Because humanity. But you always stay friends with them, though. They break up with you, and then you stay friends with people.
Well, sure. And if I engineer it so that I'm not the bad guy, then there's no reason to not be friends.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
I would way
when
rather...
I'm done, I'm done. Walk away. Bye-bye now.
I would way rather be the breakup-y than the breakup-er.
Oh. You break up with me or I break up with you, we're done.
And remember, I don't feel rejected. So if I'm broken up with, I'm kind of looking for that. Isn't that interesting?
It's a wild, wild world, isn't it?
It's because I had to move so much as a kid, I'm convinced. All of my personality traits are based on me having to be adaptable and moving and going.
Yeah, there's survival skills, right? We all develop survival skills.
And I believe that. Yes.
Yeah. So it's December, and coming into December, big reminder that connecting with people emotionally, connecting with people, on a deeper level, a relational level, far more important than the gift that you give, the gift that you buy. I think experiences and time shared and time together, way more important than gifts. And maybe it's my age, or I don't know what, that I'm figuring this out. I don't know. I want it to be meaningful, or I'm not in.
Sure.
A gift just to give a gift because, you're on the list and I have to get you something, if it's not meaningful, I'm just not for it anymore.
Well, and that's good, and you're kind of streamlining your life a little bit, and that's what you do in the selling process when you're working with a client. You simplify it for them.
Yeah.
And that's your goal. Now it's time to take care of yourself and simplify it for you. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. We've talked about a ton today. There's a lot more that I wanted to get to. I wanted to get to
We can still go.
No.
We can keep going.
We have a whole nother show to be able to put together based on what we didn't talk about. And what we didn't talk about is how fast the market is starting to move. We didn't talk about buyer sentiment, really. We touched on it at the beginning with retail sales. There's a lot more that we're going to cover in the next episode of The Session with Londa and David. For Londa, Joanne Sherwood Austin, the prettiest girl I know with a great necklace. Where'd that necklace come from?
Oh, this was hilarious. Where did it come from, David?
I guess.
This conversation right before we started this show.
I guess the kids, maybe Danielle.
He guessed like 3 different people.
And then I said, me? And she said, yes! We should have done that on the show. We didn't. All right. For Londa, Joanne Sherwood Austin, I'm David Austin, and this has been The Session with Londa and David. See you next week.